Hey man, here's the truth that most men never want to believe, the one that breaks you before it frees you. The woman who hurt you, lied to you, or replaced you so easily doesn't feel guilt the way you think she should, not because she's a monster, but because emotional accountability doesn't function the same way in her psychology as it does in yours. You're built to carry the weight of what you do. You process pain through reflection, silence, and reason. She processes pain through justification, projection, and rewriting the story until she becomes the victim in it. That's why, while you're replaying every detail wondering where you went wrong, she's out convincing herself that leaving you was the right decision. Because guilt can't exist in a narrative where she's always the one who had no choice. Men feel guilt because their logic kicks in after emotion. You think about your actions, you analyze your mistakes, you hold yourself accountable. Women, on the other hand, feel emotion first, and their logic follows their feelings. So when she decides you're the villain in her mind, her emotions justify the rewrite. She'll tell herself you were too cold, too distant, too intense, too something, because that narrative keeps her conscience clean. It's not truth she's chasing, it's peace. And peace, for her, doesn't come from honesty. It comes from escape. That's why you'll never get closure from her. You'll never hear the words you think you deserve. I was wrong. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry for how I treated you. Because she can't face the mirror of her own hypocrisy without tearing down the emotional defense that protects her self-image. The moment she admits guilt, her ego collapses. And the modern woman's ego is her armor, built on validation, sustained by denial, and protected by a culture that tells her she's never at fault. She doesn't sit there feeling haunted by the memory of how she broke you. She replaces you with distraction, attention, or self-righteous mantras. He wasn't ready for me. I outgrew him. I deserve better. Those aren't truths. They're affirmations she repeats to silence guilt. You were the mirror that reflected her flaws, and she couldn't stand that reflection. So instead of growing, she shattered the mirror and called the pieces toxic. Men process regret by introspection. Women process regret by reconstruction. They rewrite the past in ways that make them feel safe. You remember the warmth, the laughter, the love. She remembers the moments that justify her exit. You remember what you gave. She remembers what she wished you were. That's how she stays emotionally clean while walking away from the wreckage she caused. It's not that she doesn't know she hurt you. It's that she convinces herself it was necessary. You can see this pattern play out after every breakup. She leaves and immediately starts redefining her narrative. Maybe she paints you as controlling, distant, unambitious, or emotionally unavailable. Whatever label keeps her from facing her own emotional irresponsibility, and she'll repeat that story to her friends, to her next partner, even to herself, until the repetition becomes belief. Because once she believes it, guilt dies. When you see her laughing online days after walking away, it's not that she's fine, it's that she's suppressing. Her mind can't hold the weight of both the damage she caused and the illusion that she's the good one. So she buries the guilt beneath performance. Every post, every new connection, every "I'm so happy now" update isn't confidence, it's camouflage. You're watching someone run from their own conscience while pretending to be free. The female psyche is driven by emotional preservation. Where men internalize, women externalize. You isolate yourself to heal. She seeks attention to numb. That's why she moves on quickly. Not because she's over you, but because she needs distraction before reflection sets in. Guilt requires stillness, and stillness terrifies her. Because stillness forces her to feel. And feeling means acknowledging that maybe she threw away something real for something temporary. What you need to understand, brother, is that guilt for her doesn't appear at the beginning. It appears at the end, long after you've healed. When the noise quiets, when the validation fades, when the new connection starts to feel empty, that's when her mind starts replaying the truth. It's not during the breakup that she feels regret. It's during the silence after the excitement wears off. And that's why she often returns, not out of love, but out of nostalgia for the version of herself that you accepted unconditionally. You'll spend weeks trying to understand how she can sleep so easily after betraying your trust. But the answer is simple. She doesn't associate the pain she caused with her own choices. She disconnects action from consequence. She compartmentalizes guilt into a locked room and throws away the key. You, on the other hand, carry that pain like a scar because you have a sense of moral responsibility. That's the difference between emotional impulse and emotional integrity. Men break, then rebuild. Women avoid, then repeat. It's why she'll jump into something new quickly, not because she's healed, but because she's recycling the same patterns with a new name attached. You healed in solitude, she hides in replacement. That's how she keeps guilt from catching up. She stays busy enough to never feel it. You have to stop expecting her conscience to work like yours. You feel guilt when you hurt someone, even if no one knows. She feels guilt only when she's judged by others. Her moral compass doesn't point inward, it points outward, toward perception. That's why she'll do anything to look like the victim publicly, even when she was the architect of the chaos privately. Image over integrity, that's her coping mechanism. And when people start believing her narrative, the illusion becomes stronger. She feels validated, not exposed. Validation numbs guilt, like a drug. Each like, each comforting text from a friend, each "you deserve better" reinforces her denial. You, on the other hand, had to detox. No external comfort, no crowd, no audience. That's why your healing hurts and hers looks easy. But don't be fooled, your pain makes you real. Hers only delays the inevitable collapse. The reason guilt doesn't hit her immediately is because her emotions act like fire, bright, hot, but short-lived. Yours act like stone, slow to heat, but impossible to cool. When she leaves, she feels empowered, emotional, alive. But emotions fade, and when they do, emptiness arrives. That's when the echo of what she's done starts whispering back, but by then, it's too late. You've already turned your silence into strength. This doesn't mean all women are incapable of remorse. It means that for most, guilt doesn't manifest as empathy, it manifests as avoidance. Instead of saying, "I hurt him," she says, "He wasn't right for me." Instead of admitting fault, she calls it growth. Instead of reflection, she chooses reinvention, and that's why she'll appear emotionally detached, because detachment is her survival. You see, modern culture rewards emotional avoidance. Society teaches her that accountability equals shame, and shame equals weakness. So she avoids both by reframing everything as empowerment. "I did what's best for me" becomes her shield. The world claps for her independence while she quietly loses touch with self-awareness. That's not confidence, that's conditioning. So when she leaves you during your lowest, don't take it personally. You're expecting integrity from someone raised on indulgence. You're expecting self-awareness from someone who's been taught that feelings are facts. You're trying to reason with someone whose entire emotional system was built around self-justification. That's like arguing logic with fire. It burns because it can't comprehend restraint. You'll drive yourself insane, looking for accountability that doesn't exist. You'll want her to admit what she did, to acknowledge the damage, to meet you halfway in truth. But she won't. Not because she's heartless, but because she doesn't see it as damage. In her world, if she felt unloved, then you failed her. End of story. Emotion dictates morality, and morality built on emotion shifts with mood. The paradox is this: she doesn't feel guilt now because she hasn't yet experienced loss deeply enough. But life always circles back. One day, she'll meet someone who treats her exactly how she treated you. The silence, the confusion, the emotional distance. And in that moment, guilt won't come as memory, it'll come as mirror. She'll feel everything she made you feel, not because karma's cruel, but because growth requires reflection. By then, you won't even care. You'll have evolved past a version of yourself that needed her apology. You'll understand that her lack of remorse was never about you, it was about her capacity. You'll realize that you were never fighting for closure, you were fighting for comprehension. And once you stop needing to understand, you're free. You'll see guilt for what it is, a luxury of self-aware people. The ones who can sit with their conscience, admit fault, and grow from it. That's your power as a man. The ability to transform regret into wisdom. She might avoid reflection, but you absorb it. That's why men who've suffered deeply become calm. Their pain becomes intelligence. So when you think about her now, the woman who seemed untouchable by conscience, remember that her peace is temporary. Emotional denial is like debt. It compounds over time. You'll move on lighter because you face the truth. She'll move on burdened, carrying guilt. She refuses to acknowledge, chasing distractions that never heal her. You don't need to prove her wrong. You don't need to make her feel bad. The absence of guilt is already its own punishment, because when someone refuses to feel remorse, they also refuse to grow. They stay stuck in a cycle of emotional infancy, repeating the same mistakes with new faces. That's not freedom. That's prison, disguised as confidence. The greatest revenge isn't making her feel what you felt. It's no longer caring if she ever does, because your detachment becomes the one thing she can't rewrite. You stop existing in her narrative the moment you stop reacting, and that silence, that indifference, forces her to sit alone with the one thing she's been running from the entire time, herself. So, brother, don't expect guilt where there is none. Expect patterns, expect deflection, expect denial, and then rise above it. Her lack of remorse isn't proof that she won, it's proof that she hasn't evolved. Let her chase distraction while you chase mastery. Let her drown in noise while you move in calm, because the man who no longer seeks guilt in others has finally mastered peace within himself.